Welcome to the Exceed Every Day, brought to you by TickSite.com. Ever stop and wonder why some folks just seem to have life figured out? The ones who are healthy, happy, and hitting their goals, while others constantly feel like they're, well, swimming upstream.
It's a common question, isn't it? Why that difference?
Exactly. Well, today we're diving into a book that offers a pretty compelling answer to that, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
Ah, yes, Joseph Murphy's work.
Mm.
It really gets to the heart of the untapped potential we all carry around within us. It's a fascinating exploration.
It really is. Our mission today is to pull out some of the most powerful ideas from this book and see how they might click with what you're experiencing in your own life. We're talking about how those thoughts you have day in and day out actually mold your destiny, and maybe more importantly, how you can start steering that process for, positive change.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
Okay, so the book kicks off with this core concept of having essentially two minds working within us. Can you break down the difference between the conscious and the subconscious for us?
Sure. Think of your conscious mind as the part that's actively thinking right now, the logical, reasoning, decision-making part of you.
Right, the one deciding whether to keep listening or grab a coffee.
Exactly. It's what you use to analyze, to choose, to navigate your daily tasks.
Got it. What about the subconscious then? That sounds more mysterious.
Well, it is, in a way. The subconscious mind is like this immense powerhouse operating beneath the surface. It's the reservoir of all your memories, your habits, your deep-seated beliefs.
Okay.
And it's also in charge of all those automatic bodily functions. You don't even think about breathing, heartbeat, digestion, healing processes. It's working 24/7.
Like the brain's autopilot, just humming away in the background.
That's a great way to put it.
And I remember Murphy using a really good analogy to explain how the subconscious works, something about planting seeds.
Yes, the soil analogy, that's a perfect image. Murphy compares the subconscious to fertile soil.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever seeds you plant in that soil, whether they're seeds of success, confidence, health, or seeds of worry, fear, failure, the soil doesn't judge. It just accepts them and helps them grow.
So our subconscious mind operates in a similar way. It just takes what we give it.
Pretty much. It accepts the ideas, beliefs, and feelings you impress upon it without questioning them, without arguing back like your conscious mind might.
Okay, here's where it gets kind of crucial then. So this incredible power within us isn't just processing the good vibes, right? It's also taking in all those nagging doubts and negative thoughts.
Precisely. The subconscious is fundamentally neutral. It operates according to the law of belief, as Murphy
It
calls
was
it.
belief.
Yeah. So if you consistently focus on thoughts of lack or fear or illness, your subconscious accepts those as your reality and, like that fertile soil, starts work to bring about experiences and conditions that match those beliefs.
Wow, that's a bit of a wake-up call.
It can be, yeah. It highlights the importance of our habitual thinking.
So how do these seeds, these ideas get planted in our subconscious in the first place? That's where the idea of suggestion comes into play, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Suggestion is a primary way our subconscious is influenced. And these suggestions can come from outside ourselves.
Like from other people.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Murphy calls that heterosuggestion. Or they can come from within, from our own self-talk, which is autosuggestion.
Okay, let's unpack heterosuggestion first. The book has this really memorable example about a seasick passenger. Can you paint that picture for us?
Right. Imagine someone on a ship, maybe feeling a little bit off, the motion of the waves.
Yeah, I can picture it.
And another passenger comes along, maybe trying to be helpful, maybe not, and says, "Oh dear, you look terribly seasick. You're going to be really ill soon."
Oh, no.
Now, if the first passenger is already feeling a bit vulnerable, or maybe they have a pre-existing fear of being seasick, that negative suggestion can really take root in their subconscious.
And make it worse.
It can amplify their discomfort, yeah. It's like someone planting a seed of nausea, and their subconscious goes, "Okay, nausea it is," potentially leading to actual sickness.
Right, that little flutter of unease can bloom into full-blown seasickness just from someone else's words. That's wild. But then there's the contrasting story of the sailor.
Exactly. The sailor in the same situation, maybe someone approaches them with the same comment. But the sailor, who firmly believes, "I don't get seasick," they'd likely just shrug it off, maybe even laugh.
Why? Because their belief is different.
Precisely. Because their ingrained belief, their subconscious conviction, is one of immunity to seasickness. So the negative suggestion simply doesn't penetrate. It doesn't find fertile ground. Their own beliefs acts as a powerful shield.
So the core insight here is that a suggestion, whether from others or ourselves, only has power if we mentally accept it.
That's the crux of it. Without our conscious, or more often unconscious agreement, it's just empty words. It has no power over us.
The book also shares a pretty dramatic story about a man who, due to a suggestion, believed he would lose the use of his arm. That one really stayed with me.
Oh, yes, that's a stark illustration of this principle, isn't it?
Yeah.
This man was apparently told, perhaps by someone he perceived as an authority, that he would lose the function of his arm at a specific time.
And we believed it.
He fully, deeply embraced this suggestion. He accepted it as inevitable. And because he did, his subconscious mind began to meticulously work towards that outcome.
And happened.
Tragically, yes.
Yeah.
His arm apparently became paralyzed right on schedule, just as predicted. His unwavering belief, his acceptance of that negative suggestion was the key factor in that unfortunate manifestation.
That's both mind-blowing and a little unsettling, honestly.
It demonstrates the immense power we're dealing with.
But on a more positive note, autosuggestion, suggesting things to ourselves, seems like a really empowering tool then, right? How can we consciously use our own positive suggestions to influence our subconscious for good?
Autosuggestion is incredibly powerful for creating positive change. Murphy gives several really inspiring examples in the book.
Like the singer.
Yes. There was a young woman plagued by terrible stage fright whenever she had to sing in public, just crippled by anxiety.
I mean, many people can relate to that.
Absolutely. But she began consistently and confidently telling herself over and over something like, I sing beautifully. I am poised, serene, confident, and calm.
She just kept repeating it.
With feeling and conviction, yes. Gradually, she impressed this positive affirmation onto her subconscious, effectively rewriting that internal script of fear. And eventually she overcame her anxiety and sang beautifully.
That's fantastic. And there was another one about a student wanting to boost their memory.
Precisely. Similar principle. This student made it a habit to regularly affirm, perhaps several times a day, I have an excellent memory. Everything I read and study is clearly retained. My subconscious mind reveals to me everything I need to know at the right time.
And it worked.
According to Murphy, yes. Through this consistent positive self-talk, their subconscious accepted this new blueprint of having a great memory, leading to a noticeable improvement in their recall and academic performance. It really highlights how what we consistently tell ourselves tends to become our reality.
So it's about consciously, deliberately feeding our subconscious mind with the realities we want to experience, rather than just letting random thoughts or fears take root.
You've got it. That's the essence of using autosuggestion constructively.
And just to underscore the power here, the story of the man who tragically died after believing a negative prediction, it wasn't the prediction itself, but his belief in it.
Exactly. His deep-seated acceptance of that prediction, his own fear and expectation were the driving forces. Even without any logical basis for the prediction, his belief made it real for him. His subconscious carried out the instruction given by his fear.
Which really leads us nicely into another central theme in Murphy's work, this remarkable healing power that seems to reside within our subconscious minds.
Yes, the potential for physical healing is a major focus.
He even shares a really personal story about this, doesn't he? About his own health.
He does. Murphy recounts his own experience of overcoming what was diagnosed as a malignancy, a serious health issue. He attributes his recovery to consciously directing the healing power of his subconscious mind.
How did he do that?
He mentions having a profound belief in the body's innate intelligence and ability to heal itself. He used specific mental techniques, focusing on perfect health and wholeness, essentially giving his subconscious a new, healthy blueprint to work from.
That's a powerful testament to the mind-body connection.
Absolutely. And as the book explains, whatever we deeply impress upon our subconscious, whether it's health or illness, has a direct way of manifesting in our physical health and our life circumstances in general.
So if we consistently nurture thoughts of health and vitality,
our subconscious will work tirelessly to bring that into our physical experience. It's constantly building and maintaining the body according to the dominant mental patterns. Murphy also mentions the case of Madame Beer.
Oh, right, at Lourdes.
Yes, whose blindness was reportedly healed. He attributes it not necessarily to the place itself, but to her own unwavering faith, activating her subconscious healing abilities. Her belief was the active agent.
Belief really seems to be the absolute linchpin when it comes to this power of healing, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. Murphy emphasizes that there's essentially one fundamental healing principle, and that is the incredible power of your own subconscious mind, which responds directly to your belief.
So it doesn't matter what you believe in necessarily, as long as you believe strongly.
In terms of activating the subconscious, that seems to be the key. Belief acts as the mechanism that unlocks this power. Whether it's through traditional prayer, positive affirmations, visualization, or even faith in a particular doctor or treatment, it's your confident expectation and unwavering faith that allows the subconscious to work its wonders.
He even touches upon the history of mental healing, right? Mentioning ancient practices.
He does, noting the importance of confident expectancy in those ancient healing traditions. It really makes you wonder about the untapped healing potential we all possess, just waiting to be activated by our own conviction.
It's fascinating to consider that all these different approaches to healing, both conventional and alternative, might actually be tacking into the same core power within us, just through different doorways.
That's a very insightful way to look at it.
And Murphy goes as far as to suggest that the root of all disease actually lies in the mind, originating as a negative mental pattern. That's a pretty bold statement.
It is bold, yes. But his reasoning follows from the premise that the subconscious mind is the architect and governor of our physical bodies. Therefore, any persistent disharmony or illness we experience likely has a corresponding negative thought pattern or limiting belief embedded within the subconscious that's contributing to it.
So the inner blueprint is reflecting in our physical reality, sometimes negatively.
That's the idea. Change the blueprint, change the reality.
Okay, so if our subconscious mind has this incredible ability to heal and shape our reality, how do we actually go about intentionally impressing it with positive ideas? We've touched on suggestion, but the book lays out some really practical techniques, right?
Yes, absolutely. Murphy provides a fantastic toolkit of mental techniques designed to help you effectively communicate your desires to your subconscious mind.
What are some of the main ones?
Well, one he describes as the passing over technique.
Passing over. Sounds interesting.
Think of it as creating a very clear mental blueprint of what you desire, a detailed vision of the end result, the solution, the healing, and then you consciously hand it over, pass it over to your subconscious, trusting it completely to take that blueprint and bring it into reality using its own wisdom and power.
Almost like setting your destination in the GPS and then letting the system figure out the route and do the driving.
That's a great modern analogy for it, yes.
Yeah.
Let go of the how and trust the process.
Okay. What about the power of visualization? That seems to be a really central technique in a lot of similar philosophies.
Visualization is indeed a cornerstone in Murphy's approach, too. It involves creating vivid, detailed mental images of your desires already fulfilled.
So not just thinking about it, but seeing it as already done.
Exactly. You want to make these mental pictures as real and tangible as anything you see in the external world. Feel the emotions associated with it. By consistently holding these positive mental scenes in your mind's eye with feeling, you're essentially impressing your subconscious with the experience of already having achieved your goal.
Like rehearsing your success mentally until it feels completely natural.
Precisely. You're conditioning the subconscious to accept it as reality.
And then there's the mental movie method. That sounds kind of fun.
It builds on visualization. The mental movie method takes it a step further, making it more dynamic. It involves creating a short mental movie of your desired outcome.
Like a little scene playing out in your head.
Exactly, complete with actions, maybe even dialogue, and most importantly, the feelings you would have if it were actually happening right now. Murphy shares a great example of someone wanting to sell a property.
What do they do?
They vividly imagine the whole scene. The buyer signing the papers, handing over the check, shaking hands, feeling the relief and joy of the successful transaction. They played this mental movie over and over.
And the idea is that the more real and immersive you make this mental movie,
the more powerfully it influences your subconscious to attract the circumstances and opportunities needed to manifest that outcome.
it's about engaging all your mental senses to make it more impactful, isn't it? The more real it feels internally, the more readily the subconscious accepts it as a blueprint for the future.
You nailed it. Feeling is the secret.
What about the Baudouin technique? That's one I wasn't familiar with before reading this.
Ah, the Baudouin technique, named after Professor Charles Baudouin. It's a simple, yet apparently very effective method.
How does it work?
It involves condensing your desire into a short, easily memorized phrase or sentence. Something concise that encapsulates the essence of your goal.
Like an affirmation.
Similar, yes. Murphy suggests a phrase like, "It is finished in divine order," implying completion and trust. Then the key is to repeat this phrase quietly, like a lullaby, with feeling, in that relaxed, drowsy, sleepy state just before you fall asleep.
Ah, that specific state between waking and sleeping.
Exactly. The idea is that in this semi-conscious hypnagogic state, the conscious mind's resistance is lowered. And the subconscious mind is particularly open and receptive to suggestion. You're gently planting that positive seed right as the gatekeeper, the conscious mind, is nodding off.
That makes perfect sense. It's like bypassing the usual mental chatter. And sleep itself seems to play a really significant role in working with our subconscious, doesn't it? Beyond just that pre-sleep moment.
Absolutely. The sleep method, as Murphy calls it, really highlights the power of the thoughts and intentions you hold right before drifting off to sleep.
So what you think about last thing at night matters.
Profoundly. Whatever occupies your conscious mind as you become unconscious has a deep influence on your subconscious throughout the night. It's like giving your subconscious its marching orders for the sleep cycle.
Any examples of this?
Murphy shares some fascinating ones, like a professor who is stuck on a complex problem and consciously asked his subconscious for the solution before sleep, waking up with the answer clear in his mind.
Incredible.
And a writer who consistently received creative ideas and plot developments for his stories by focusing on his writing goals and needs before bed. It's like your subconscious continues working on things, processing information, finding solutions while you rest.
So setting a positive intention or asking for guidance right before sleep can really prime our subconscious to work on our behalf while we're catching those Z's.
That's the idea. Make peace with the day, affirm your desires, and trust your subconscious to work its magic.
And then there's prayer therapy. How does Murphy frame prayer within this context of the subconscious mind?
He explains prayer therapy not just as a religious practice, but as a focused and, he says, scientific way of harmoniously directing both your conscious and subconscious mind towards a specific desired outcome.
So it's more than just a vague wish.
Much more. It's a definite mental action taken with a clear intention and belief. He even distinguishes between different approaches to prayer. There's the absolute method, which involves focusing on divine attributes like love, harmony, intelligence, and feeling your oneness with them.
Okay.
He also touches on historical methods, like Quimby's method, attributed to Phineas Quimby, which involved understanding and mentally addressing the underlying limiting beliefs or imprisoning creeds that might be causing a problem, often through explanation and spiritual reasoning alongside prayer.
So different techniques, but all aimed at aligning your conscious desire with the power of your subconscious through focused intention and belief.
Exactly. It's about finding a method that resonates with you and applying it with faith.
And decreeing. That sounds pretty assertive, almost forceful.
It is assertive, yes. Decreeing is the act of consciously and confidently stating your desired reality as already being true, knowing, or at least affirming, that your subconscious mind has the power to accept this decree and bring it into being.
Like making a formal declaration to your inner self.
Kind of, yeah. Murphy shares an example of someone who effectively resolved a challenging interpersonal situation with a troublesome individual by firmly and repeatedly decreeing their freedom, peace, and placing the matter entirely in the hands of a higher power or universal law. It's about taking conscious command of the messages you're sending inward with authority and conviction.
It really seems like all these techniques are different ways of doing the same fundamental thing. Impressing a clear, positive idea onto the receptive subconscious mind with feeling and belief.
That's a perfect summary. Finding the technique that works best for you is part of the journey.
Now, the book also delves into some other really interesting and sometimes controversial areas like our right to be rich. What's the core message there? Is it just about wanting money?
It's deeper than just wanting money. Murphy argues that wealth, or perhaps better said, prosperity and abundance, is fundamentally a state of mind. It's a subconscious conviction.
A conviction. How so?
It's not solely about the amount of physical effort you put in externally, though effort often plays a part. It's more about cultivating a deep-seated belief in your own worthiness to be prosperous and a belief in the abundance of the universe or life itself.
So it challenges the idea that wealth only comes from back-breaking labor.
Exactly. He challenges the common belief that wealth is solely the result of grueling hard work or struggle. He suggests there's a more effortless way, relatively speaking, when your subconscious mind is aligned with the principle of prosperity and abundance. When you expect it, feel worthy of it.
He even shares that compelling story about an executive who maybe wasn't the most technically skilled person in his company, but he convinced his subconscious that he was worth a very high salary.
Yes, that's a great example. This executive focused intently on his inner belief in his value, his contribution, and the feeling of being highly compensated. His subconscious, accepting this conviction, apparently responded by orchestrating the circumstances and opportunities that led to his significant income.
So the feeling came first.
The inner conviction and feeling, yes. Murphy also suggests a simple technique, repeating the word wealth or prosperity to yourself, slowly and quietly, like a lullaby before falling asleep, to impress this idea onto your subconscious. It's about cultivating the feeling of abundance within.
It's about truly feeling wealthy or prosperous, not just intellectually desiring it. That inner feeling seems to be the real magnet, the attractor.
Precisely. The feeling of wealth attracts wealth. He shares another anecdote, I think, about a young boy who consistently visualized having a medical diploma hanging on his wall. He lived with that mental image.
You know what happened?
Eventually, through various turns of events, he attracted the help and opportunities needed to go to medical school and become a doctor. His persistent visualization impressed his subconscious.
Conversely, Murphy explains how harboring resentment about being underpaid can actually backfire, right?
Yes, he warns against that. If you constantly feel resentful about your income or undervalued, you're subconsciously creating a conflict, a disconnect with your current job or source of income. Paradoxically, this negative focus can actually lead to attracting circumstances where you lose that job or income source.
Wow, that's counterintuitive but makes sense within this framework. You're focusing on lack and dissatisfaction.
Exactly. And crucially, it's not just about accumulating wealth for yourself in isolation, is it? There's a vital element of giving and serving others that Murphy emphasizes.
Yes, he stresses that true and lasting success, which definitely includes financial well-being, also involves a spirit of generosity, a desire to contribute value, to serve others, to circulate wealth. This creates a positive flow, allowing blessings and abundance to return to you multiplied.
It's about value exchange and contribution, not just taking.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on to the broader idea of your subconscious mind as a partner in success, beyond just financial goals. What are some of the key principles here for achieving our goals in any area of life?
Murphy outlines 3 fundamental steps, which echo what we've discussed, but are worth highlighting for general success. First, you need a clear, definite, well-defined desire. Know exactly what you want.
Step 1, clarity.
Step 2, you must vividly visualize that desire as already accomplished. See it, feel it, experience it in your imagination as if it's real right now.
Step 2, visualization and feeling.
And step 3, you need to cultivate and sustain the feeling of the reality of your desire. Truly believe deep down that you already have it or that it's inevitably on its way. Maintain that confident expectancy.
Desire, visualization, feeling belief. Simple but profound.
Exactly. And he shares that great story about a student who dramatically improved his grades. It wasn't just about studying harder, was it?
No, it was about consistently affirming his excellent memory and, interestingly, cultivating feelings of goodwill and harmony towards his teachers and fellow students. That positive internal state seemed key.
It does. It reduced internal conflict and resistance. And he also discusses practical applications of the subconscious in the business world, echoing those real estate selling techniques we touched on. Consistently impressing the subconscious with the desired outcome of a successful sale or business deal.
And there's also that wonderful anecdote about the young lady who wanted a Cadillac.
Oh, yes. She didn't just wish for it. She mentally owned it. She visualized herself driving it, feeling the upholstery, enjoying the ride, day after day, until she felt the reality of it.
And she eventually got it.
According to the story, yes. Circumstances unfolded in an unexpected way that allowed her to acquire the car. Again, it all comes back to creating that strong inner conviction, that feeling of possession beforehand.
And the simple technique he mentions, just repeatedly saying the word success to yourself with genuine faith and feeling, that seems like such an accessible tool for anyone to use, doesn't it?
It is. Consistent repetition, especially with belief and positive emotion, helps to deeply implant the concept and vibration of success within your subconscious mind.
But it's not just about external markers of success, is it?
No, and Murphy is very clear about this. He wisely reminds us that true holistic success encompasses not just external achievements like wealth or recognition, but also essential inner qualities like peace of mind, fulfilling relationships, joy, and a genuine desire to contribute positively to the world around us.
It's a much richer, more well-rounded definition of what it means to truly succeed.
Definitely. It's success from the inside out.
Now, it's fascinating that Murphy points out that even highly rational scientists use the subconscious mind. Can you share some of the examples he provides in the book? That seems counterintuitive to some.
It might seem so, but Murphy highlights several remarkable instances where major scientific breakthroughs and profound discoveries have been directly attributed to insights received from the subconscious mind, often in moments of relaxation or even sleep.
Like the classic example of Kekulé.
Exactly. Friedrich Kekulé's discovery of the ring structure of the benzene molecule. The story goes that the insight came to him in a sort of daydream or reverie involving a snake biting its own tail, a symbolic image delivered by the subconscious.
That's such a famous story of creative breakthrough. It wasn't purely logical deduction.
Right. Murphy also mentions Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor,
Oh yeah, Tesla.
and his incredible ability to visualize his complex inventions in complete, precise detail in his mind before he ever physically built them. He perfected them mentally first.
Wow.
And there's the story of the famous paleontologist Louis Agassiz, who apparently struggled to decipher the details of a fossil fish embedded in stone. The solution came to him, perfectly clear, in a series of dreams.
Dreams again. The subconscious working while we sleep.
It seems to be a recurring theme. He also mentions a scientist who managed to mentally devise an escape plan from a Russian prison camp by strategically using his subconscious faculties to find a solution his conscious mind couldn't grasp. These examples really showcase the extraordinary problem-solving capabilities hidden within the subconscious.
And even in fields like archaeology and paleontology, where researchers often have to reconstruct ancient scenes or piece together fragmented evidence, there's an element of intuition involved, isn't there? Tapping into that deeper level of knowing.
Precisely. The subconscious mind seems to have access to and can process vast amounts of information, connecting dots in ways that are far beyond our conscious awareness or logical processing power.
Murphy also recounts that moving story of a young man who was guided by his subconscious mind through a dream or strong intuition to the hidden location of his deceased father's missing will.
Yes, another example of that inner guidance system. It's as if we have this incredibly wise partner within us, constantly available to help if we learn how to ask and listen.
It really seems like that inner knowing can guide us in the most unexpected and profoundly helpful ways. Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk more about your subconscious mind and the wonders of sleep. We touched on it with the scientists and techniques, but what are some other key insights from this chapter?
Well, Murphy really emphasizes that sleep is far more than just a period of physical rest for the body. It's a crucial time when our conscious mind takes a backseat and our subconscious mind becomes particularly active and receptive.
So it's not just downtime.
Not at all. He discusses the vital importance of adequate sleep for physical repair, mental clarity, and overall well-being, highlighting the seriously detrimental effects of sleep deprivation. But crucially, he also positions sleep as a powerful source of guidance, inspiration, and solutions to our waking problems.
We saw that with the scientists. Any other examples?
He shares compelling anecdotes, like a woman who had a persistent, uneasy feeling upon waking about a lucrative job offer she'd received. Trusting that intuition from her sleep state, she turned it down, and later found out it would have involved her in illegal activities. Her subconscious protected her.
Wow, that's incredible intuition.
It is. And Murphy even mentions his own apparent precognitive dream about the attack on Pearl Harbor, suggesting the subconscious can sometimes access information beyond our normal time-space perception.
That dream about Pearl Harbor is really striking.
It is indeed. He also recounts the fascinating story of Professor Hermann Hilprecht, an Assyriologist who deciphered complex inscriptions on ancient Babylonian cuneiform fragments correctly in a dream after struggling consciously. A priest appeared in his dream and gave him the solution.
Amazing. And Robert Louis Stevenson, the author?
Yes. Stevenson apparently consciously instructed his subconscious, his little brownies, as he called them, to generate plot ideas and stories for him while he slept, often waking up with narratives ready to be written down.
So the key takeaway here is to approach sleep not just as switching off, but as an opportunity.
Exactly. Approach sleep with a sense of peace and trust. Release your worries, affirm your desires, or ask for guidance on problems, and then entrust your subconscious to work on them while you rest. Remain open to the insights, feelings, or solutions that might surface upon waking or even in dreams.
Make sleep an active part of your problem-solving and goal-achieving process. Very cool. Now, relationships are such a fundamental part of human life. How does the section on your subconscious mind and marital problems approach this often tricky area?
Murphy stresses, first and foremost, that a truly fulfilling and harmonious marriage is built on a solid foundation of genuine love, sincerity, honesty, and mutual respect. That's the bedrock.
Makes sense.
Then applying the principles, he explained how you can actually attract an ideal partner if you're seeking one. It involves consciously impressing the qualities you desire in a partner: loyalty, kindness, honesty, spirituality, whatever is important to you onto your own subconscious mind.
So focusing on the qualities you want to attract.
Yes, and just as importantly, focusing on cultivating those same qualities within yourself. It's that principle of like attracts like, operating on a deeper subconscious level. You create a clear mental and emotional blueprint of the harmonious relationship you desire.
And once you're in a relationship, he cautions against trying to fundamentally change your partner, right? That seems like a common trap.
A very common trap. He strongly emphasizes the importance of mutual respect and acceptance. A major pitfall is trying to mold your spouse into a second version of yourself, criticizing their habits or personality. That breeds resentment.
What does he suggest instead?
He advises against the often tempting habit of discussing marital problems and your partner's faults with friends and relatives.
Huh.
Why? Because absorbing negative external opinions can actually impress those negative ideas more deeply onto your own subconscious, potentially exacerbating the issues.
But keep it between the couple.
Ideally, yes, or seek professional counsel. Internally, he recommends consciously projecting thoughts and feelings of love, peace, harmony, and goodwill towards your partner. Even if things are difficult, focus mentally on their positive qualities.
It's about focusing on nurturing the positive aspects internally within your own mind rather than constantly dwelling on the negatives.
Precisely. Your inner state influences the outer dynamic, and he offers some interesting insights into why a partner might exhibit, say, nagging behavior.
Oh, what's the take on that?
According to Murphy, a partner who frequently nags is often subconsciously seeking attention, reassurance, appreciation, and love. There's an underlying unmet need. They might feel ignored or unvalued.
So nagging is a cry for attention in a way.
Often, yes. He suggests that offering sincere praise, recognition for the things they do well, and expressing appreciation can be incredibly effective in shifting this dynamic, meeting that underlying need in a positive way.
That's a compassionate perspective, and he also encourages praying together.
Yes, he sees praying together, sharing spiritual goals, and affirming mutual love and harmony as a powerful way to align the couple's subconscious minds towards shared ideals, strengthening the relationship at its core.
That makes so much sense. Consciously aligning those powerful subconscious forces towards a common vision of a happy and healthy relationship. Okay, let's move on to something we all universally strive for, your subconscious mind and your happiness. What are the key insights here? Is happiness just luck?
Far from it, according to Murphy. He actually quotes the philosopher William James, who considered the discovery of the power of the subconscious mind when touched by faith and belief to be the most significant scientific finding of the 19th century. That's how important he felt it was.
Wow, high praise.
Indeed. Murphy emphasizes that true and lasting happiness is fundamentally an inside job. It's not primarily dependent on external circumstances.
So it's a state of mind, a choice we actively make, rather than something that just happens to us based on what's going on outside.
Exactly. Happiness is primarily a mental and emotional state. External things, wealth, possessions, status, even specific events can bring temporary pleasure, but they alone cannot guarantee genuine, deep-seated happiness. That comes from within.
So where does true happiness come from then?
True happiness, Murphy says, is the natural outcome of achieving a peaceful, harmonious, and well-ordered mind. It arises when you understand and consciously begin to apply the principles of divine order, harmony, and constructive thinking within your own subconscious.
So by managing our inner world.
Yes. He shares an inspiring story I recall of a business executive whose workplace was filled with stress, criticism, and negativity.
Sounds familiar for some, unfortunately.
Right, but instead of getting caught up in it, this executive began consistently, several times a day, affirming harmony, peace, cooperation, and goodwill towards all his colleagues, visualizing a harmonious environment.
And what happened?
Over time, the atmosphere in the office reportedly transformed. Difficult colleagues moved on or changed their attitudes. It became a much more positive place to work. His inner shift influenced the outer reality.
It's about cultivating that inner environment of peace and positivity first, regardless of what seems to be happening on the outside.
Precisely. And he strongly encourages us to have faith in our own inner powers, our connection to infinite intelligence or life principle, to overcome negativity, and to actively choose happiness as a habitual way of being.
So happiness is a habit we can cultivate.
Yes, he beautifully summarizes it that way. Happiness is indeed a habit. It's found fundamentally in a quiet, trusting mind that is anchored in peace and divine guidance. And it naturally blossoms when you consistently express the best qualities that reside within you, love, peace, joy, goodwill.
That's a really uplifting and empowering perspective. Okay, extending that outward now to our broader interactions with people. What about your subconscious mind and harmonious human relations? How can we apply these principles to our relationships with everyone we encounter, not just spouses?
The core principle here is the law of reciprocal action, essentially. Murphy explains that the way you habitually think, feel, and mentally talk about others has a direct mirror-like impact on how they, in turn, respond and react to you.
So what you put out mentally comes back.
Exactly. What you mentally sow in your thoughts and attitudes towards other people, you will inevitably reap in your interactions and relationships with them. He shares a wonderful, transformative story about a teacher.
What happened with the teacher?
This teacher was having a very difficult time with a group of highly critical and seemingly antagonistic colleagues. She felt constantly judged and undermined.
Tough situation.
Very. But instead of reacting outwardly or complaining, she started working on her inner thoughts and feelings about them. She began regularly and sincerely affirming peace, harmony, and goodwill towards these colleagues, visualizing them as cooperative and friendly.
She changed her internal projection.
Precisely. And remarkably, over a relatively short period, their attitudes towards her completely shifted. The criticism stopped, and the relationships became harmonious. Her internal change transformed the external dynamic.
It really highlights that powerful idea that our inner dialogue, our silent assumptions and judgments about others, can profoundly influence the external world and shape other people's reactions to us, often unconsciously.
It's a subtle but incredibly powerful force. He also recounts the experience of a salesman who significantly improved his often strained relationship with his boss.
How did he do that? Same principle.
Yes, by consistently using positive affirmations about his boss being fair and understanding, and by using vivid mental imagery focused on a harmonious, respectful, and productive working dynamic between them, he changed his mental concept of his boss.
So the core principle for harmonious relations is cultivating emotional maturity.
That's a key part of it, yes. Developing emotional maturity means not allowing the negative words, criticisms, or actions of others to easily disturb your own inner peace and equilibrium. Not reacting emotionally, but choosing your response consciously.
And practicing empathy.
Definitely. Trying to understand the other person's perspective, consciously projecting positive mental attitudes like kindness and goodwill, and genuinely wishing well for others, these are fundamental keys to fostering harmonious relationships. He also advises against unnecessary appeasement, though.
Meaning, don't just give in to keep the peace.
Right. It's important to stand firm in your own ideals and truth, but to do so from a place of love, understanding, and inner strength, not from anger or resentment. Maintain your integrity without creating conflict.
It's about taking responsibility for our own internal state first and foremost, and recognizing the powerful impact our habitual thoughts about others have on our interactions. Which naturally leads us to another incredibly important concept: how to use your subconscious mind for forgiveness. This can be a tough one for people.
It certainly can be. But Murphy emphasizes its crucial importance for our own well-being. He explains that life, or God, or the universal principle, operates according to laws of harmony. Holding on to resentment, bitterness, anger, and unforgiveness creates intense disharmony within ourselves, and ultimately only harms the person harboring those negative emotions.
It poisons us, not the other person.
Exactly. It blocks our own good. He shares a powerful story of a man who apparently experienced significant physical healing, maybe from arthritis or a similar condition, only after he consciously and completely forgave his estranged father, releasing decades of bitterness.
Wow. A physical healing linked to forgiveness.
And another profound example of a man convicted of murder who found deep inner peace and transformation through understanding and applying the principle of forgiveness, both forgiving himself and potentially seeking forgiveness from a higher power.
It's about releasing that heavy emotional burden that we carry around, isn't it? That baggage.
Absolutely. And here's a key point. Criticism or condemnation from others cannot actually wound or hurt you unless you internally consent to it, unless you allow it to disturb your peace by reacting emotionally with hurt or resentment.
Our reaction is the key.
Our internal acceptance or rejection of it. It's about cultivating understanding, seeing the situation from a higher perspective, perhaps understanding the other person's own limitations or pain, and consciously choosing compassion over anger and blame.
Compassion seems vital here.
Very much so. He also addresses common misconceptions, like misplaced guilt, particularly around subjects like sex, arguing that guilt is often a false concept imposed by societal conditioning rather than a reflection of true spiritual law. Forgiveness frees us from false guilt, too.
And does he offer a practical method for forgiving?
Yes, he provides a method which involves relaxing, quieting the mind, and then bringing the person or situation you need to forgive into your thoughts. You then affirm sincerely, something like, I fully and freely forgive name or situation. I release them mentally and spiritually. I wish for them all the blessings of life. I am free, and they are free. It is finished.
Repeating that with feeling.
Yes, repeating it regularly with genuine sincerity until you feel an inner sense of release and peace regarding that person or situation. True forgiveness, he defines, is essentially forgiving until you can think of the person or incident without any sting or hurt remaining. It's about extending love and peace consistently.
It's a process of emotional and mental cleansing that ultimately liberates you.
Exactly. It's primarily for your own freedom and healing.
Okay, what about those self-imposed limitations, those negative habits or mental blocks that can really hold us back from achieving what we want? How does the section Your Subconscious Removes Mental Blocks address overcoming these?
Murphy explains that all habits, whether beneficial or detrimental, are essentially functions of our subconscious mind. They are patterns that have become deeply ingrained through repetition.
So we program them in, often unconsciously.
Often, yes. He shared a compelling story, I believe, of an individual struggling with alcoholism, a deeply ingrained destructive habit. This person successfully overcame the addiction through the consistent use of vivid visualization, seeing themselves as sober, free, and in control, combined with powerful positive affirmations, reinforcing their freedom and self-mastery.
So replacing the old pattern with a new one through mental techniques.
Exactly. He also discusses the phenomenon some people experience of feeling jinxed or stuck in persistent bad luck. He highlights how negative thought patterns and ingrained beliefs about failure or limitation can actually create these self-fulfilling prophecies, acting as mental blocks to success and well-being.
It's about recognizing that these obstacles are often created and maintained by our own habitual negative thinking and limiting beliefs, like Mr. Block.
Ah, yes, the story of Mr. Block, the salesman who was in a terrible slump, convinced he was blocked from making sales. He overcame it, didn't he?
Yes, through focused prayer, affirming success and divine guidance, and fundamentally shifting his mental attitude from expecting failure to expecting success. He changed his internal narrative, and his results changed.
It underscores the power of changing that inner story. Murphy relates it to Socrates' powerful lesson, the need for intense desire for change. Remember the story of holding the boy's head underwater?
Yes, you have to want freedom from the habit as much as you want air when you're drowning. That level of desire fuels the change.
Precisely. That intensity of desire gives you the motivation to apply the techniques consistently. Murphy introduces methods for subconscious reprogramming, including the Goethe technique.
What's that one?
It involves vividly imagining a friend or loved one congratulating you on having already achieved the desired change or outcome. You make that imaginary conversation as real and joyful as possible, repeating it until the subconscious accepts it.
Feeling the reality of the success through imagination.
Exactly. And crucially, he emphasizes the importance of persistence and unwavering faith in this process. You might encounter temporary setbacks or the old habit might try to reassert itself, but you have to keep applying the positive mental pressure, keep affirming and visualizing the new reality until it becomes dominant.
It's about consciously making the decision to break free from those limiting patterns and then consistently reinforcing the new desired patterns in our subconscious until they take root. Never give up.
That's the message. Persistence is key.
Finally, let's tackle a topic that everyone, absolutely everyone, can relate to at some point. Use your mind to remove fear. Fear can be so paralyzing. What are the key principles for overcoming our fears, according to Murphy?
Murphy takes a very direct stance. The power of fear dissolves completely when you directly confront it mentally and consciously replace those negative, fear-based thoughts with constructive, positive, faith-based ones.
So don't run from it mentally. Replace it.
Exactly. Starve the fear thoughts by feeding thoughts of courage, faith, and the desired positive outcome. He emphasizes that love in its broadest sense, meaning connection to good, to faith, to harmony, is the ultimate and most potent antidote to all forms of fear. Love casts out fear.
That's a powerful statement.
It is. He shares that encouraging story again of the singer who successfully overcame debilitating stage fright through consistent positive autosuggestion, focusing on calm, confidence, and beautiful performance.
Right, reprogramming the fear response.
And the example of students conquering exam anxiety, not by dwelling on the fear of failing, but by focusing their mental energy entirely on success, on knowing the answers, on passing with ease, shifting the mental focus.
It's all about consciously redirecting our mental focus away from the potential negative outcome we fear and pouring that energy into visualizing and feeling the desired positive outcome.
Precisely. And he provides some practical techniques for overcoming specific phobias, like the fear of water or enclosed spaces.
Through imagination again.
Yes, through the consistent use of vivid and positive mental imagery. If you fear water, you vividly imagine yourself swimming joyfully and confidently. If you fear elevators, you mentally ride them feeling calm and safe. You rehearse success and safety in your mind until the subconscious accepts that new pattern, overriding the fear response.
It's like desensitization through imagination. And he points out something interesting about innate fears, doesn't he?
He does. He mentions that scientific research suggests only two fears are actually innate or instinctive in humans, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. All other fears, fear of failure, criticism, illness, poverty, specific objects or situations, are learned.
And if they're learned.
They can be unlearned. That's the hopeful message. He strongly cautions against constantly indulging in fearful thoughts, dwelling on anxieties, because this habit actually attracts and tends to manifest the very things we fear. Like the businessman who was obsessed with the fear of bankruptcy.
That eventually manifested it.
Exactly. His dominant thought created his reality. Instead, Murphy encourages cultivating a deep sense of inner trust and consciously claiming guidance and protection from what he calls infinite intelligence, or the wisdom of the subconscious, especially when confronted with fearful situations. Actively choose courage over apprehension.
It's about taking proactive mental steps to dismantle those learned fear responses and build a solid foundation of inner confidence and faith in positive outcomes.
That's it perfectly.
The book then has a wonderful summary chapter, The Treasure House Within You, really reiterating that core message that all the power we need is already inside us.
A great reminder of the central theme.
And then it offers some really insightful, maybe even countercultural guidance on how to stay young in spirit forever. What's the key perspective there? Is it about denying age?
Not denying biological age, but refusing to accept the limiting mental concepts often associated with aging. Murphy explains that your subconscious mind itself, the life principle within you, does not age. It's timeless and self-renewing.
So our thoughts about aging affect how we age.
Profoundly, yes. He shares inspiring examples of individuals who remain remarkably active, creative, engaged, and vibrant well into their 80s, 90s, and beyond, directly challenging the common societal beliefs that aging inevitably means decline and withdrawal.
People who defy the stereotypes.
Exactly. He encourages cultivating a compelling inner vision of yourself as vital, healthy, intelligent, and successful at any age. See yourself contributing and enjoying life fully. He emphasizes that essential qualities like wisdom, understanding, love, and spiritual insight don't diminish with age. They should actually deepen and grow.
That's a much more positive view of the later years.
Absolutely. Ultimately, his message is incredibly empowering. You are fundamentally as young as you consistently think and feel you are. Your mental attitude towards aging significantly influences your experience of it.
Yeah.
And he concludes with the idea that life itself is an eternal, boundless, and constantly self-renewing process.
Wow. So wrapping this all up, it seems the fundamental takeaway is that the power to truly shape our lives, to overcome pretty much any challenge we face, and to achieve our deepest desires really does reside within the incredible and often vastly untapped capacity of our own subconscious minds.
That's the core message. Absolutely. It's empowering, but also calls for conscious effort.
And by understanding these fundamental principles like the law of belief, the power of suggestion, visualization, feeling, and consciously applying these powerful techniques with intention and unwavering belief, we can all indeed begin to truly exceed the everyday.
Absolutely. It's about becoming the conscious director of your inner world. Maybe take some time after listening to reflect on the profound ideas we've explored today.
Good idea.
Consider, what limiting beliefs you might have been unknowingly impressing upon your subconscious mind, perhaps for years. And more importantly, what positive, life-affirming seeds will you consciously choose to plant in your mental garden starting today, right now?
That's the perfect provocative thought to end on. What seeds will you plant today? Thank you so much for joining us for this really enlightening exploration into the power of your subconscious mind.
My pleasure. It's been a truly fascinating and practical discussion, hasn't it?
It really has. Thank you for tuning in to Exceed Every Day, brought to you by TickSite.com.